Good evening, everybody. Sandra Sheffrey, host of Racing the Races. I'm here with Dr. Naomi Blemur and Kristen Sanon-Jules. We're back here on another Thursday with talking all things immigration again. I just want to say the cover that I used for today's video was something that belongs to NBC6. It was a photo of an image that of some resistance that was happening Miami today at one of the facilities, and the picture just kind of captured all of what we feeling like. We feel like we're in a state of emergency. So we're going to spend today's episode talking about what's going on, but also trying to figure out like what solutions, right? Because we see what the problem is, and I want us to see if we can focus on trying to provide some sort of solution and options or whatever to the people. So you guys go ahead. Who wants to go first and introduce themselves again, say what's on your mind, and then we'll keep this conversation going.
Hello, bonsoir. Dr. Naomi Blemur here. It's an honor to be back here on a Thursday with these amazing ladies and just to not only recap, but to talk about solutions, right? There's a lot of recapping, there's a lot going on. But I think that number one, we want to identify who is directly affected, right? And then two, what are some of the solutions that we can bring forth? So it's great to be here.
Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir, buenas noches. I am Christine. I'm pumped about solutions because do this is affecting me emotionally. I am beside myself. Like I said, I saw this abduction happen in front of me. Since I've physically seen it, I have never been the same. And so when I see these people with that SOS, I just think like, I know that no.
So we're having a little bit of a hard time hearing you.
Honest to God, what can we do?
So can you repeat what you said? Because you were kind of going in and out. I don't know if Naomi can hear you, but you were going in and out on my end, so I wasn't sure if it was my reception or not. So if you could repeat what you said, just in case listening audience also didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes, better.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So I was just saying. Sorry, I stopped driving now. So I was just saying that I'm excited for tonight's show because I do want to talk about solutions, especially after seeing two men be at hand and now seeing the SOS. I know that I can only imagine that they feel that they have no one that's fighting for them. And I know really that we are, but I just feel like our hands are tied. So I'm excited for this conversation. I really am. So thank you for having me on again, and let's get to it.
Yeah. So I have to say that when I saw it, you guys sent some videos. I saw some clips. I'm just like, what is going on, right? I really just got to the point where I said, you know what? When my life gets so challenging that I'm like, I did all of the things, because we try to control, right? Like something's happening, and then we try to step in and try to fix it, and we use all of our tools, right? And then I remember it was a few years ago, I got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm gonna just have to stand still, because the battle is the Lord's, it's not mine, right? Sometimes you just have to stand still. And I'm like, are we at the standstill moment at this point, right? Because I was just sitting there like, you're banning people from coming into the United States. Like, what does that even mean? Like, it's such a, like, I just, I can see we were like at war with the country or something like that, or maybe, right? But just to just go pick 12 countries and be like, y'all can't come here at all, no matter what. Even if you had family petition pending, Salier, I don't care. You cannot come. Don't come visit. Don't come to school. Don't follow through with your green card application. Don't do anything. I mean, that is so bizarre to me. Like, I was just like, okay, are we at the standstill moment right now? And we got to give this battle over to the Lord. I don't know. And I don't want to make this a whole religious show, but I'm like, I have to just say that when I heard that, that was my overwhelming feeling.
Well, I am the queen of giving over to the Lord. And, when you first said it, I remember when I first moved here to Florida, the scripture that the Lord gave me was be still. Be still and know that I am God. And that is like my scripture for this entire last 10 years of my life. Be still and know that I am God. And as I'm looking at all the things that are unfolding, I don't care how much influence you have right now. I don't care how much power you have right now or where your influence and or power lies. There is so much going on at one time that nobody has a finger on anything. And the very thing that you think you got
They may have a finger on some things, but you don't have a finger on everything. Because it's too much, right?
There is so much uncertainty that the one thing you thought you may have had a finger on is blowing up in your face. You don't believe me? Go ask Elon Musk. All right? So you have to be in a situation right now that, Lord, let thy will be done. Period. End of story. Next.
All right, what's your take, Christine? Where you at?
So this is my thing. I love the Lord as well. I'm a believer. I love me some Jesus. I don't feel that this is our be still moment. I don't think that that's this moment right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is our, if be still means sit down and strategize, then maybe that's the moment. Right now is the planning. I mentioned this, I go live on my Instagram all the time. But I've been watching documentaries a lot lately. And one of the documentaries that I watched was The Redeem Team. And it's the story about the NBA Olympics team, the USA, and how, LeBron and all them, they lost back in 2004, and they wanted to come back and win. And then Kobe joined the 2008 one, and they came back and won. But the coach, it was the coach for Duke, Coach K, he came on and said, listen, you want to win, you have to learn how they play the game. You cannot keep playing the game the way that you play the game. They even have a different basketball overseas. So what he did was he helped them study and learn the game that they know and love, the way that they play the game. I think that this is a moment right now for us as a country. We need to sit down and understand, how are they playing this game? Because if we can study the way that they play this game, we can then learn how to be ahead of their next move. And all of the things that are being done were strategized. That Project 2025, all that stuff, it was strategized. Right now, we keep taking our cues from them. Whatever they do, like, hey, now this is how we move, this is how we move. We need a plan that reflects the way that they move, and that can be effective before they do the next step. So that, I don't necessarily know that is in my wheelhouse of expertise, but I will say that when I saw that in the film, I was like, now that's how the Democratic Party needs to operate. We need to study and understand how they're moving so that we can then make our own moves according, like, a better than what we're doing right now.
Okay, so my face is saying something else, but I'm gonna let Naomi speak, because I do have some responses, but I want to think through how I'm gonna say my response. So I'm gonna go ahead and let the doctor speak.
I am gonna push back just a little because you spoke about a coach who was leading a team. Right now, honestly, I don't believe that the party that I am registered to has actually identified that they are the team for us, especially when I just read an article about a Black woman and I never want to say in politics that someone is overqualified, but sis got it, okay? And she has just entered her race for U.S. Senate, right, to challenge
Rick Scott, I
Ashley
believe.
Moody.
Was it Ashley Moody,
No,
the
Moody.
appointed
It's
seat?
Moody.
Okay, the appointed
She's
seat for Marco
challenging Moody.
Rubio.
to
Ashley Moody.
challenge Moody. And listen, whether you like Moody, whether you don't, it's neither here nor there. But this sister got the goods, and she's ready to go. And already she is getting opposition from our party. And she basically wrote and is saying that she feels that she is being discriminated against. And I'm telling you right now, Christine, it ain't starting off right. We are not even, we have not even touched the beginning of the the elections that's coming, and already out the gate we are on the wrong side. We are on the wrong side. We're talking about one candidate who gave $50,000, and that's why he's able to speak, versus another candidate who obviously may not have the money to give 50,000. Like, so
When you're saying that you're talking
100%.
about the Florida Democratic Party?
And so with that said, I understand your position, but my question is, who's our coach? Where
No,
is our
I agree with you 100%.
right? And then
You don't even
second,
want the stuff I know. You don't
and
even want the
second,
stuff I know is going
if
on in this
we're
party.
supposed to all be on this court, and we're all playing for the same team, like, what are the rules for the game for us, and how do we ensure that nobody's shortchanged, especially when it's a sister who has it, okay, and who's been there. And as I read her bio, I've never met her before, but as I read her bio, I'm like, wow, she's really been putting the work in her community, and she is actively saying, I want to serve. And I just don't feel like, if we're really going to be talking about Republicans versus Democrats, that in the state of Florida, that we can really say that we have a team, that everybody on the team understands the rules, and we're all playing by the same rules, because we're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is what I want to say, because this is a solution night, right? Well, at least we're gonna try to make it one. All right. So when you said that you don't think this is a be still moment, right? Unless we're doing something, I somewhat agree with that, because I'm like, walk by faith and not by sight. But then we also know that faith without work is dead, right? So like, we have faith, but we got to put in some work. So we got to figure out and think of, like, what does that work look like, right? So when I was thinking about what's this work going to look like, I think we be still in that, trying to continue to fight especially when it comes to the immigration policies that's going on. I think they're getting meaner and meaner and nastier. In the fight, it's just going to further harm, the immigrant population. That's how I see it, right? So I'm like, all right, so what's the work that we do? The work that we do is that we really start campaigning for 26. Like, that has to be the work, is that we start, like, they should have started November 6, 2024 to start for the 2026. Once it was known that, this person was going to become the president, the race for those seats in 26 should have started then. But right now, as of Jodia today, what do you say? How do you say today in Spanish? Like, something dias. Right now, we have to start the work to get different people in those seats in 2026, because the group of folks, and mind you, all 435 seats in the House of Representatives is up for re-election, because those people only serve for 2 years. And like I said before, now this is probably like the 4th episode where I'm saying about 385 of them gotta go, because I really do want to see Hakeem Jeffries become the Speaker of the House. So I'm not going to say that he should go, and there are a few other people that should stay with him. But I will say this, and I mean this, that every single Republican should be replaced. And I'm not saying that they have to be replaced by Democrats, but they absolutely should be replaced by different Republicans who are going to go there and do the work of the people, right? So I'm not saying it got to be a House of 435 Democrats, because I got problems with some of them too, right? But what I'm saying is those Republicans absolutely need to be replaced by other Republicans, and they should all be primaries, and those races should start right now. And people, Don't be scared. I'm talking to Republicans right now. Do not be afraid to run against these people. Do not be afraid to primary them. If you go into your community and you speak to anyone, you're going to see that those folks are too disgusted by all of those folks that they sent to represent them, particularly since that big, better, beautiful bill, whatever, passed by one Republican vote. Only one of them had to say, nope, it's going to be a tie. Or two of them could have said no, and we would not be here, right? We would not be here with the Senate doing whatever it is that they're doing to try to pass tax breaks for people who don't need them. So I say be still, in the sense that what the work that you're gonna do is to find someone to run. And then when you find that someone to run, everybody organize behind them and replace at least 385 people that are in the House of Representatives right now, because this is some straight BS. They are not there to do the work of the people, and that's what they're supposed to do. So that's what I say with the work parts of it, right? Now, where I disagree is to play the games that the Republican played in order for them to get into power right now. So you know how sometimes, I'm not gonna get into my personal life, but there have been times where people have done something to me that was not good, right? And then if I did what they were doing, then I was gonna sin, right? And that I pay shit. So I was like, yeah, I'm not finna go sin because of you, right? Like, I'm not gonna go sin because of you. So if, in order for me to play the game that you were playing, then now I gotta go sin and just do all kind of stuff. And I'm not saying I'm a person without sin, but I was not going to do that to play that game. So this is the point. So let me make the point. So the point is, the game that they're playing, I don't think we should play that game, because it's not a good game. It's not a fair game. It's a game full of lies, and it's a game that's not going to get you into heaven. You know what I'm saying? And maybe everybody ain't trying to go there, but it's a game that's not going to get you into heaven. And I think you can win without doing that, right? If we organize and if we get the right kind of message, and if we start telling people the truth and letting them see the truth, right? And what that may mean is that we may need to have different messengers to tell them, because they may not want to hear from somebody who looks like me. Because I get the things I hear people say about me in the comments. I'm like, Lord, like, you ain't got nothing else to do with yourself but to come and just talk trash on my feed, and I don't even know you. So what I'm saying is that we may need to get different messengers to get that message out, and I think we could do that. But I do not think I believe in fighting the fight you're in, but I don't agree with using the strategies and the tactics that the folks have used and lying to folks in order for them to get elected.
No, the goal is you have to learn the way they play the game so that you can beat them at the game. You have
but
to
they're
learn.
Just lying. But the thing is, like, they're lying.
It's not. Listen, no one's saying to lie, but you have to learn how they're lying so that you can form a strategy. You can form a strategy in truth, but you know how to defeat the lie.
Can I ask you a question?
You're thinking that if I learn their strategy, then I'm going to then become their strategy.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a dispute with a shameless person? Have you ever been in a dispute with a shameless person?
I try not to waste my energy, but
okay. I'm saying that for a reason, because the game, the strategy, or whatever it is that they're playing, you're dealing with people. Someone, they're shameless and they have no bottom. Right. So if you're saying in your real life, you're like, you know what, when them people with no bottom, I just don't put myself in that space. The reality is that we're dealing with people with no bottom that are shameless, that have ultimate power. So
okay.
So how do you engage with them? I understand what they're doing,
you're not listening. You're not
I'm
understanding.
Probably not. I'm gonna listen now.
You're not understanding. You're not engaging with them. You're not engaging with the Republicans. That's not like with the candidates. Mm-hmm. You have to learn how they play. How do they win over all these people? Because once you learn how they win over all these people, then you can turn around and say, okay, really, the people are not necessarily looking for that. What's drawing them to this candidate or this movement or this party is these specific feelings in the messaging, these specific, whatever lies that they're promising. And then you say, okay, if this is really what they're looking for, we can get those voters by finding a way to connect to what they connect with the Republican. So, for example, if a Republican voter is voting because They think that all the immigrants are taking their jobs, and they're taking up all the benefits and all this stuff. Then the strategy is, okay, now I understand why they're voting this way. Now I understand why they're supporting these candidates. Now what we do is we take that feeling. What they're really feeling is they need to find jobs, or they need good paying jobs for themselves, or they may need better housing. They don't necessarily, the immigrant may not be the enemy. The enemy might be the fact that they're not living the life that they wish that they had, and they needed someone to blame. And so we learn, okay, let's connect them to another emotion, connect them to another promise that takes them away from this hateful mentality. But the strategy that we learned is that the Republicans knew how to play to their desires. So now we play. Democrats love to play to an agenda that's not the people's agenda. They just figure it out.
So let's talk about that. And I don't, please don't cancel me. Please don't. I'm trying not to get canceled, but I'm gonna have to say it, right? So one of the things that was very successful in that presidential campaign is when they said the Democrats are for they, them, and we are for you, right? Yeah. So that was a winning ad, period, right? They said they are for they, them, and we are for you, and that was a winning ad. That ad is not inclusive. It is very problematic. So if people are resonating with a statement like that, how do you build a strategy when what they're doing and people are attracted to is something that's isolating a part of the community, right? Like, what do you do with that? What do you? So are you gonna go and what do you do with that? So because that was part of what was a big issue.
Oh yes,
and
I know in
that's the only reason the
Philadelphia.
Democrats lost. But I'm saying that was a big issue, and and I'm telling you, across the board, people were like that part, right? How do you, as a Democrat, that's a big tent, that's very inclusive, how do you respond to that?
So that it's the same thing that they did in Philadelphia.
Whatever that feeling that makes them be all right with that, how do you tap into that?
So they're same they did in Philadelphia. They had this ad running in Philadelphia that's like, your child goes in to the bathroom and they're a boy, they come out a girl. Like literally, they were pushing that, and no one was pushing back, right?
So not to cut you off, but we know that's a lie, because we also know that's a lie. Yeah. But then this whole idea of saying they are for they, them, you are for you, that's different. That's not, because everybody know that your kid don't go in no bathroom, a boy, and come out of that's an absolute lie. That's not it. But to say this they, them, and we here for you, that is not connected to nobody having a sex change operation by the time they go into the bathroom. It's not detached from reality. Because I'm in spaces where I have to put my pronouns behind my name, because that's the space that I'm in, right? And some people don't want to do that. That was a really big part of the campaign. That was when I tell you that was a big part of the campaign.
I know.
How do you address it? I'm not the transgender. My kid went in, a boy came out a girl. That's pure foolishness. Most people know that's not true. That's like a big lie that you can overcome, right? That you can really talk someone through that. But they are for they, them, we're for you. What do you do with that?
Well, what I do with that, number one, is we show images of how diversity, equity, and inclusion have changed lives. I have a friend right now. His son's in a wheelchair. His son is he has a specific disease, right? He just graduated from high school, and so. And he graduated from high school. Why? Because of the diversity, equity, and inclusion practices that we have in our education system. So I think that what we needed to show in that moment is that the Democratic Party is inclusive. We are for they, them, you. We are for everyone, and not saying that. Because you is a very selfish thing. That when I see that, I think, okay, that is a very selfish thing. But once we connect the fact that you means all of us, we don't want to exclude anyone from the conversation or exclude anyone from the table, and everyone deserves a seat at the table. Instead of making it a sexuality thing, making it, well, what's wrong with them? What's wrong? Like they, them, everyone deserves a seat. Doesn't? Does someone not deserve to get food assistance or housing benefits because what? Because of a gender or because of a skin color. Can you hear me? All of that is what we fought for the civil rights. We are well past that. We have evolved. And the Democratic Party is for everyone, not just you, but everyone, all Americans.
So what I wanted to say is I totally get that ad, they, them, and us. And Christine, while I understand that that may be a selfish approach, but the first step of engaging people to go to the voting booth is to identify their needs, is for them to be able to say, I am going to vote because this person, that person has a platform that is connected with policies that ultimately is going to better me, my children, and my grandchildren. We on this platform right now, we're thinking, looking at the larger group. But the reality is, when that person is going into that booth, they are thinking about themselves. They are thinking about the life that they're living now versus the life they lived 3 years ago. And if it was bad, and it is bad now, they're thinking about how am I going to get again out of this situation to live a better life. That's number one. Number two, on the flip side of things, responding to what we could have done to counteract that is actually run platforms with tied to initiatives that actually demonstrated how we were going to focus on you, how we were going to better your life, how we were going to better your children's life, how we were going to ensure that your grandchildren have a better America. And that's what Democrats failed to do, right? They said it, but we could have shown them how we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? And we failed to do that.
I don't remember not one Democratic commercial, not one.
I mean, I saw a lot of the Democratic commercials. Obviously, I was running, so I was looking at the commercials, but the commercials were not articulating our message. The commercials were.
There were no commercials in Florida.
The commercials.
You saw them on YouTube or online. There were no commercials in Florida.
Because the ones that I saw were for the Senate race. You would have a commercial come on with Rick Scott, and then you would have a commercial come on with Merciful Powers. But her commercial is basically a counterattack to what you just saw that he claimed. Or his commercial would be a counterattack to what she's claiming or whatever. Or to Sandra's point, maybe he had a general commercial that was saying, this is what we don't want, right? And so before we go to the other side and talk about the issues and solutions, I think
we are talking about solutions because the race starts now. So we need to tell these Democrats
the race
what needs to happen.
Yeah. I love that. I love that the race starts now. But specifically, while we're saying that the race starts now, it starts by you engaging, you identifying what your needs are, and choosing candidates that you believe have a plan, right? Not just someone, and I know that's hard for you to swallow, but not just someone who is a good campaigner and who's saying the right things. Mm-hmm. You have to educate yourself on at least 1, 2, or maybe 3 issues and identify where that person stands with that issue or those issues and choose who you think is best for us. Because what is happening is people are voting based on sound bites. People are
so you said, okay, so I did say like we shouldn't lie, right? But okay, so in the law, we're allowed to all right. So we have this conversation. I have these conversations with my students sometimes about whether or not omission is lying, right? In the law, we are allowed to omit information and it's not considered a lie for legal purposes, right? So it's not a lie because you're allowed to omit information as long as what you're saying is factual, right? You follow me? As long as what I'm saying is a fact, I'm allowed to not tell you the full story. I can just tell you parts of the story that works for me, right? So should part of the strategy be that we can mislead people in order for us to get the Democrats to get the seats? Should they be willing to mislead? Like, don't tell the whole story, just make some factually accurate statements that are part of those sound bites that people want to hear in order for you to win the seat. Because I think part of what may be the problem is that Democrats give people too much information.
I agree.
Right? And it gets lost. All that information gets lost on them, and they make it too complicated. And maybe they need to get one of those statements that are factually accurate, but may not be thoroughly explaining the entire issue in order to win and then go get in and do the work.
Okay, so let's
wait a minute. Wait, before you say that, I don't want us to go down the slippery slope.
No, it's not a slippery slope.
No one's gonna lie.
It's a slippery slope. It is a slippery slope because I believe you can have good messaging and just get to the point and just get to the chase.
No, okay.
So
So
let me give you an
I'm gonna
example.
feed off of what Sandra's saying. Really
Okay, let me make one more point, and then it'll be okay. Because this is like so when there are times when I'm explaining things to my clients, I cannot explain everything because they won't understand it. Because there's certain parts of the legal part of it that if you try, I went to law school and I've been practicing 20 years for me to even understand it myself. So for me to try to say this to somebody, it's gonna they're not gonna get it, right? Because it's just they're just not gonna get it. But I do explain to them enough that they understand what's happening. They'll understand the outcome, but I don't give them the devil that's in the detail. The devil's in the detail, but there's no devil in what I'm saying. But I don't give them all that information because it's just really too much to process, right? And it's really too much to process.
I don't think
that's like, can the deals do that? Find just what we can say that's factually accurate, that's going to get the point without trying to explain economic policies and, where the money come from and the tax this and the tax that to folks in order for them to win those seats.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're saying. I'm just saying, let's not, you not giving them the details is not lying to them or giving them a false sense of reality. You are just
okay. So I'm thinking of a candidate in specific, and I don't want to call their name, right? But there was a candidate that won in a special election in Broward County, and they made some promises. Well, I don't know. They said they were going to do something that still has not happened yet, and they won, and they continue to win, and they won unopposed the last time. Is that a strategy the Democrats should take on?
Sandra, unless this specific candidate went on to take on the seat and propose policy or propose a bill, and it did not, and it failed.
It wasn't going to pass. It was never going to pass.
It doesn't matter if it's not going to pass, but what you said you were going to do, you attempted to do, and it failed. I believe.
Okay.
If you didn't,
so we're allowed to mislead because they know it wasn't going to pass.
If you didn't do that, then you lied. And I'm sorry. People might say, well, this is why, I didn't win or whatever. I just don't think you should be out here blatantly lying to people.
No, I never said blatantly lying.
No, not you, but I know this situation that you're talking about. And for me, if you never presented it as a bill, or you never presented the policy, or you never championed the initiative, not even one day, you lied to the people. You lied to them. And rest assured, they could have let you pass one time. They could let you pass 2 times. Maybe on the 3rd time, honey, you might be deadlocked.
No, the 3rd time they passed. They still there.
Well, let's go for round 4. Let's see what happens. Because I feel like I can champion something, Sandra, and I can really believe this is the right thing. If when I get into the position, I never attempt to do it, and I never attempt to bring it forward, did I really believe in it? And if I really didn't believe in it, did I just say it because I thought it would get me votes? Because at that time or in that season, that's what people wanted to hear. Now I'm going to tell you this. The other day I was reading
So
this article.
our other co-host is coming back on. She's having some technical issues, and as soon as she get it sorted out, she'll be back on because I want to hear what she has to say
About
I want to about omitting information and
and let me
coming up
tell you
with a
something. You know
message
what I'm
that's a
starting to
winning message.
realize? And I'm gonna go spiritual again. You know what?
Let's go, because the Lord got to listen. The battle is listen.
You know what I'm starting to realize? I'm starting to not realize, but I'm starting to accept, like, depending on where a people are based on what is their reality at that moment, what they feel that they need, right? And what they're gravitated to, they may or may not choose the right leader. Because I was reading an article the other day, and in the article, the writer is saying the same people that voted for Obama are some of the same people that voted for Trump. When you look at the states that are making the big difference in the electoral college.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reality of it is we have to accept that some of these people just didn't go off the edge. Some of these people made a decision based on what was going on at the time, what they felt they had enough of, and the messaging, as Christine was saying, that they heard that stirred up some kind of emotion, and they just went with it. And that's the reality of what's happening. So I think that another side of it is you have to read the room. And when we're saying read the room, in the time that you're running, you have to understand what is most pressing at that time for people. And you cannot make your messaging about what you want and ignore what the room is saying. Mm-hmm. And if we're talking about messaging, I believe you forego what you think and you go with the message based on what the room, what the country, what your city, or what your state is saying. Because ultimately, the person who tugs on their heartstrings in that moment and talks about what they're facing right there, whether that person is good for them or not, that's who they're going with.
Yeah.
That's who they're going with. Because when he said, I looked at the numbers, and he's like, these are some of the same people. These are the same people. For whatever reason.
So some of that, okay. So if the numbers was, if it was the 2008 race, compared to this one, right? 2024. So in 2008, Obama ran against Hillary, right? So I can see how some of those numbers would be the same, because there's some people that are just not going to vote for a woman to be president regardless, right? Because I have to tell you, I was actually surprised Hillary didn't make it out of the primary when she ran against Obama. I was.
But remember, Obama had a message of hope.
Yes, he did. He had a really good message, but I didn't realize how, because the country's very sexist and very misogynist. I didn't realize that until Hillary lost. Like, I really thought she would have had a chance. She had done the work. Like, you know what I mean? She really had done the work. Now, near the end of the campaign with her and Barack, I think she just kind of had this sense of entitlement that I couldn't respect. I didn't like that part of it. Like, she felt like it was hers and he took it from her or something like that. I'm like, what is that? You know? But at the same time, I really thought she was gonna come out on the other side of that. But then that's when you realize that, this country is very sexist and they're not going to see a woman as president. So the fact that they saw some of the same numbers in the race with Trump versus Kamala, I would want to believe, I'm just saying, I want to believe, and I don't know if it's true or not, I want to believe that it was just that made them vote that way, as opposed to that person actually assessed the real issues that were going on in the country at the time, and based on that, they made that choice. I'm more comfortable wanting to believe that it was based on, it was sexism, than it was like they looked at these two candidates, looked at their qualifications, look at what it is that they were going to do, look at what their vision was for the country, and they chose him over her on that. But I'm okay believing that it was a sexist decision made on their part.
Sandra, I think it's a little bit of both. Recently, I was having a conversation with somebody on the president for Haiti, and the person met someone who obviously is interested, and the person said to me, you know, I like him. He has some great ideas, but he doesn't have the oomph. You understand? And I'm just like, okay, what's the And the reality it is, depending on the situation, some people want an aggressive person. And if you're not coming off as that, you know, like straight my way, highway, I'm going to make things happen kind of person, they're like, you're good, but you're not good for right now. I think that yes, there was the sexist part, but I also believe that there's a large majority of Americans that wanted a forceful person that they may have not have seen that in Kamala. And it's true.
That's crazy to me. I just have to say, like, I don't see it because
no, but I know you don't
I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and I know you don't see it. But this person is basically saying to me, Naomi, with what's happening in Haiti, like, I like him. I think he has great policy. I think he has this, but what's going on right now, you need. And so the reality,
Haiti, but for here, that wasn't forceful.
You have to look at the again, I use the term reading the room. What's going on at that moment? What do people feel that they need to showcase, to represent? You know, I believe that yes, it was part that she was a woman, but there was another part of the country who wanted an iron fist, and boy, did they get it.
Iron fist for what? On what issue? What issue did they want an iron fist
for
on?
whatever reason, they felt that things were going soft. For who? For what? I don't know. But I do believe that people choose their leaders in large respect, not only by, I said, their own needs, but also the environment. What's going on? What do they feel is lacking? What do they feel that we need right now at that moment? And it has proven that when they make those decisions based on those things, they choose wrong.
I must live in a bubble because I don't know what was going on in the United States that we needed him to be president again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Okay, so you've never heard of anybody telling you that they feel like Biden was like soft? Like, it's just like, where are you, Biden?
What did they want? What is it they wanted him to be tough with? Like,
but this is what I'm saying. When the narrative, that's the term I should use. When the narrative is, oh, you know, he's weak on this and he's weak on that, and he's not.
I want to know what the this and that is that he was weak on. That's what I'm saying.
If I had like specific articles, if I had them up right now, I would give you.
Oh no, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. What I wanted to say was that I felt like I must have been in a bubble, right? Because I did not.
For example. Let's use
in my reality, I did not see the issue that warranted us being in this situation with this particular person being the president.
Okay. Perfect example. Let's use the border. A large percentage of people felt he was weak on the border. And we, even as Haitian Americans, had a situation at the border where literally there was a flood of Haitians under the border. The law enforcement on their horses, like with whips, and going after them.
They sent all those people back.
Hold on a second. Hold on. And then overnight, when our people realized what was happening, and like a slew of elected officials started flying over there to figure out what's going on, literally they sweep the people out overnight, and everybody is gone. And a lot of the people, no one knew where they were. No one knew where they sent them.
They went back to where they came from. They either went to Haiti, Mexico, back to Brazil, whatever. They sent them back. And so remember last week we had this little conversation about like the fake advocacy and, you know, like those fake advocates type things. So part of why the reaction was to just clear that bridge overnight was because all these folks were going to come, right? Because there is a process to deal with large numbers of migrants coming in. There's a process in place that would have been dealt with. But then people want to come with the cameras and the spotlights and the this and the that and the amid pressure, all this kind of stuff. So they're like, okay, we got a trick for y'all. And they put all them people on planes and clear them out overnight, right? And I don't know. And I don't think that was the best thing for them. I don't think that was the best thing for them. And part of that was because of the way advocates want to advocate. They want to go make noise, bring cameras, do this. No, there are people are connected, especially in the community. Folks are connected enough that you can have conversations outside of camera, outside of the news, outside of a headline, and get results. But it's like everybody wants to be the one that ends up on MSNBC talking. They want to be on CNN talking. They want to be on the local news talking. So they do things that benefits them but hurt the migrant populations, right? And I think, and I believe, and I'm starting to really believe this, a lot of how the rope is the tightening on the necks of migrants is because of some of the advocacy work. And I'm not saying they're wrong for doing it. I'm just saying that the migrant population is being punished because of the advocacy work, because people aren't accepting the fact, right? Some advocates are not accepting the fact that you're dealing with a petty dude that's shameless and has no bottom. You got to fight with that person different. You got to fight with that person different, right? Just like Christine was saying, I just won't engage. Sometimes that's what you got to do. You cannot engage with a shameless person because they shameless. Like, how do you win? How do you win an argument with a person that's someone? How do you win that? Like, tell me.
Not the someone.
Tell me how do you win an argument with a person that's someone? Tell me. I don't know. You know? So the strategy is to disengage and just work around them. You know what I mean? And I think that may be part of what we need to do. I hate that Christine hasn't made it back yet. I'm gonna text.
In the meantime, let's
go ahead
over a little bit to talk about the countries affected by Trump's new travel restrictions. And so there are two types of restrictions right now. There's suspended entry and then there's restricted entry. Okay, so you want to know, obviously, when we're talking about Haiti, Cuba, and Venezuela, it is restricted entry, right? And so there are some people that are coming from Cuba, coming from Haiti, coming from Venezuela that will be given the ability to come in. But they're very specific, and I'm going to go over them. But then there's suspended entry. Okay, and for people that are listening, Sierra Leone, Chad, Guinea, Congo, Burundi, Afghanistan, Libya,
Myanmar,
and Turkmenistan.
No one knows that place.
Laos, Yemen, Somalia, and
Sudan is on there too. Yeah.
Myanmar.
Yeah, Sudan is on there.
Okay, yes, Sudan. Okay, Sudan, Libya, and
Eritrea. That's next to Ethiopia. That's the small little country that's next to Ethiopia. And I wonder why. I'm trying to understand.
So these are the ones that have suspended. Now, when we talk about restricted, we're talking about Haiti, Cuba, and Venezuela. So I had to go and kind of like look at it just to really understand it, because, a lot of people who are in Haiti right now are probably feeling anxious and, asking themselves, oh my God, what is happening? So who is affected? Tourist visa holders are barred, right? And so Haitian citizens holding a valid US B1, B2 tourist visa can no longer use them to enter the United States. Okay. Now, Cesalier, this is what he said. This is what we have to deal with. Students and exchange visitors are prohibited. So students enrolled at U.S. universities and participants in cultural and educational exchanges program under F as in Frank, M and J visas are included in the ban. Okay. Applicants for immigrant visas are suspended. So, Sugen Moon, you are applying for family reunification, employment-based visas, or diversity lottery visas. All of those are
Or
effective.
even if you're so to keep that part, that last part simple, if you're applying for a green card for a national of either one of those countries, they're not going to process those applications. That's what that
Period.
means.
Period.
So
Okay.
your Haitian do not come in.
Now, who is okay, so and it's, if you were applying for another person and because you're a family member and you were a US citizen, you can't. Okay, that's not happening. Okay, now who is exempt? Green card holders can return and go back and forth,
That's
but
if you already have the green card,
if you already have the green card,
already approved, and you have it.
remember, Sandra gave us a good teaching that it is not a right, right? So at every point of entry,
you leaving, when you come back, you're asking for permission to re-enter.
demander permission pour retourner, so retourner bien, pour demander permission.
No, apply for citizenship. Si t'as un côté, pas déplacer, appliquer pour venir citoyen, and then you go.
Pas de problème ça yo.
Yeah.
Okay. Individuals with I didn't, this was really good because I didn't know this before. So individuals with dual nationals with other passports. So if you have a citizenship in the other countries that they have banned, ou pas qu'à entrer. Right? So Haitian citizens who also hold a passport from a country not on the banned list can enter the US. But if you hold a passport from one of the countries that's on the ban, which I don't even think Haitians.
If you're still an American, you're American. And Americans do allow dual citizenship with certain countries. So if they're saying they're not going to no longer recognize the dual citizenship, then I mean, at that point, you just choose, and most people would choose the American citizenship.
The American
so it's not an issue. Yeah.
And plus, I don't know how many Haitians, not saying that we wouldn't, but don't know how many Haitians would have passports from these other countries anyway. Okay. Yeah. So immediate family of U.S. citizens, spouses and children under 21 years old of U.S. citizens may still be eligible to enter. So, ça veut dire,
remember, they have discretion at the consulate. So I think that applies more for the people that are already here. So like if you're applying, if your person is here and you're applying for them, I think they'll adjudicate those applications. But at the consulate ones, I think you'll have a hard time.
Okay.
I think they'll have a hard time consular processing.
So diplomats and international organization representatives, Haitian diplomats and individuals employed by recognized international organizations traveling under the A and the G visas are exempt from this. And last but not least, athletes for major sporting events.
Of course.
Haitian athletes and coaches participating in official international sporting events such as the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup and the 2028 Olympic Games are also granted exemption. So I gave you just the big picture. We're going to pass it over to Met Sandra to give us some specifics on what she would like to say.
Listen, there's no specifics to give on that. This conversation today was really about what's the strategy, what it is that we're going to do. Christine had a point that she wanted to make, and I want her to make that point before we get off, because we see where we are. I mean, it's stunning that president is going to wake up one morning and decide to just ban 12 countries and restrict the entry of another 8 or so. Like this is uncharted territory. This is like that. There's no words for this. So what you have to do is say, okay, how do we address this? What's the strategy to work around this? Because to keep talking about it is just, I mean, we just need to know what we're gonna do to get ourselves out of this shoje, this hotness of this fire.
Christine,
go ahead.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I had phone issues. Thanks for letting me jump back on. So I wanted to say earlier when I hopped off, you mentioned the whole, we shouldn't learn their strategies or whatever. But what you said earlier was their strategy. They use one-liners. And I think that one-liners actually work. Mm-hmm. So if you have a one-liner of I'm not really good at one-liners. I mean, sometimes I am, but not all the time. But like, rest in peace, Social Security. Like, saying goodbye to all of the things that we hold dear. If you just have a one-liner that really sticks it to the people, that says, okay, our Social Security is gone, say goodbye. Our Medicare, our Medicaid is gone, say goodbye. Any benefits gone, say goodbye. Then I think that is a very good example of learning their strategy and using that, but not using it. We're telling the truth. Like, they are really coming for these issues. So that's what I'm saying. Not doing the long-winded thing that Democrats normally do, but start using some of these slick strategies that people are like, oh, I like that. Because what we realize is that a lot of these voters, one thing they do like about Trump is that, he's about business, right? He's about taking care of things, and he's going to handle it, right? He's going to handle it or you're fired. Like, that's the gimmick that they like. So it's about finding, okay, how can we take that same energy but turn it around into a way that still resonates but speaks truth, but our truth, the truth of the fact that most people this next month are probably not going to get their Social Security check on time. Or I got an email the other day saying, oh, you can check to see if you're going to get your Social Security check. Like, like they're having people check for stuff like that. And honestly, for me, Social Security is such a huge issue because when my uncle was alive, his Social Security didn't cover all of his bills. We as a family had to cover the rest. So things like that are actually that are real. Number one, that's the one thing I wanted to say. The next thing I wanted to say is, when we're talking about strategy, there are strategies that are happening that are working. A friend of mine reminded me that this boycott, this Target boycott, and all these different boycotts, like, when we pull our financial resources away from these organizations, they start talking to Trump saying, hey, chill. So right now, if all the Haitians, I don't know that we can unify it like that, but anyway, we say God can make anything happen. But if all the Haitians said, you know what, we're not spending not one penny on such and such business or whatever, it would send a message. If we partnered with the Venezuelans and the Cubans and all of us collectively said, we are withholding our funds until you start treating our people with respect, with dignity, and giving everyone due process, then money speaks volumes. And so also considering another financial protest like what's happening with Target. So those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good. But I wish I knew what corporation is connected enough with immigration that we could like give them enough hell that they would, have some influence on policy, right?
Yeah.
I know that like Google and Facebook, they have like, the national interest waiver, for the, like their engineers and all that, they're more work visa related type situations, but I don't know if putting pressure on them would make a difference for them to try to do something with immigration policy. Because I do remember like in 2016 when they had when the Muslim ban was in place, Facebook and Google was like, listen, homeboy, this ain't gonna work because half our engineers are from some Asian, North African, at Palestine, India, place like that, and he had to pull back, right, to allow those individuals to come in to allow those individuals to come in to work. But that's a different group of folks, right? Not necessarily the ones that have family members or maybe labor work that's coming to do farm stuff. I don't know what corporation that will be that we could probably put pressure on. I mean, maybe tobacco, because I know that there are a lot of migrants that work in the tobacco farms in like North Carolina. So, maybe, I don't know, people smoke cigarettes like that anymore. Huh?
Construction.
Girl, they just arrested 100 people off a construction site the other day. Like,
yes.
So
yes,
I don't know if that's going to make a difference.
One of the things that the pastor Jamal Bryant, who started the boycott against Target, he identified Target as someone who said they were going to pour or give back to the Black community, and then they pulled back when
Yeah,
Trump.
that's right. They had a lot of DEI initiative. Well, I don't know if we want to call it that, but they did a
They
lot of
had
work
Black
after
economic.
George Floyd. They put a lot of product in their store. They did do a lot of good stuff, and then all of a sudden, the minute they had
pulled back.
they pulled back.
So I think what we could do as a Haitian American community, since we may not necessarily find a company or organization that we can boycott that is directly tied to immigration, we can just solely just withhold our money from a specific market or industry that we know has power, has a voice, and when they start feeling the restraint, then they can tap him on his shoulder and be like, yo, they're coming after us because of what you're doing, and it is affecting us. So please pull back a little bit. But we need a big dog who has the ability to tap him on his shoulder.
So, I mean, Naomi, how would you feel if you didn't get any more Amazon packages? I'm just saying, you talking big dog. I think Jeff Bezos is a big dog.
Listen, I'm gonna have to say that if there's a sellout bone in my body, it's with Amazon. Like, let me tell you, like that, like.
So I mean, if I was not getting my Amazon packages, I would be
legging. So
yeah, I would be in serious trouble right now because I literally almost buy everything from Amazon now.
But what a sacrifice that would be.
I need to make it. To
your point, we need to find a big dog like that.
I just gave you one.
No, I said to your point, it needs to be like an Amazon or a Walmart, somewhere where all like Haitians in America, you go to one of these things or you're using us, and then we collectively say, we're not giving you our money. And then they go tap him on the shoulder and be like, listen, because it would make a wave. And what I like about Pastor Jamal Bryant is like weekly, he was coming with the numbers. You know, the CEO of Target had to take, he had to
they cut his pay like 45%.
His paycheck. Not only are you affecting the company, right, and the stocks, but you affecting his own pockets
personally,
his personally and his family. So that person is going to react very differently to us. And now, so officially, he has moved away from Target. He's like, all right, Target, we're done with you. Now he's at
Dollar Tree. Dollar General.
Dollar General, because Dollar General, not because Dollar General had offered Black folks anything. He chose Dollar General because our communities is overly saturated with them.
And they do nothing. They give nothing back.
Absolutely nothing back. So we don't have to choose a company because they have a direct attached to immigration. We can just choose one because you everywhere.
You know, because I remember when Georgia was trying to have this voting rights bill that if you give somebody water, you're gonna go to jail and all that stuff, right? People decided like, we finna boycott, and then their folks were like, we're gonna boycott Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola was like, they called the governor. They're like, listen, y'all need to back down from this because we in Atlanta. We ain't got no time for this, and they removed that provision of that bill because that company was going to be directly impacted. People like, we're not bringing this to Georgia. We're taking out these. We're gonna mess with Delta. We're gonna go to Coca-Cola, and the people were starting to boycott. And those companies, they're like, they had a meeting, and they're like, y'all got to figure that provision out, and they were able to do that. So all in all, is like, we'll keep thinking about this and see what industry can be impacted that maybe have some influence that they'll let just give these immigrants a break, buy your own soup. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because every day it's like a whole tank load of bullets that's just being fired shots on the community. It's like, come on, you ain't got you. I'm not saying go bother anybody else to this extent, but I mean, it's like, come on, like for real. Like they're literally arresting. Like the other day, like 2 days ago or yesterday, they arrested 2,200 people. The goal is to arrest 3,000 people a day. Where you gonna put them? You understand what I'm saying? Like this is not good. Like it is just not good, right? So there needs to be some sort of there needs to be some sort of relief for the community, for the people, for the family, because it's not only just the people that are detained, it's the family members that are out, it's the communities that they're from, it's the restaurants or the businesses that they work at that doesn't have workers anymore, it's the school, because people are not sending their kids to school anymore and the numbers are going down. So this is extending far beyond those individuals that they have detained in facilities and not being able to, taking away their due process right, thinking about sending them to Gitmo, sending them to El Salvador. It's more than just that. And there needs to be, something has to be done. So I'm in my be still moment because, I got to give this to the Lord. But in that, I'm saying that because I'm saying that, but what I really want to focus on is who the hell is running in 26 and what I need to do to help them win in 26. This is where I got to be, because I don't know if we're going to, what the immediate response is going to be. I think it will be like, figure out who this person of influence is, who could just be like, go talk to Stephen Miller or somebody, be like, dude, who hurt you? You had a Venezuelan girlfriend that left you? Like, why you mad, bro? Like, we need to understand where all this energy coming from, because this is too personal. It's like, dude, like somebody hurt your feelings, bro. Tell us who did it so we can go ahead and talk to this girl and maybe, she'll come out and go on a date with you or something, right? Like, we need to find out what his real problem is, because you can't hate all these people this much. This is crazy. Somebody hurt him and we need to find out who it is and send a therapist over there and go talk to him. But we need to find out who knows him so they can go have this conversation with him so he could just bite on your soup, like just give them people a break, bro, like for real, right? So that's part of it. But then I want to focus on putting in that work, figure out who's doing this in 26. And I'm not talking about only Democrats, Republicans. Run against these daggone people. Run against those people. I will, I ain't got a whole bunch of money, but I got some $20 or something like that. I'll go campaign for you too, like for real, because this is absolutely ridiculous that these people are here not doing the work of the people.
And I love what you just said. It's not necessarily about the party, it's about the person. And if the person has the heart and the person is really going to work on the behalf of the people, then let's go. And I think that when it comes to elections in Florida, right, we have to begin to start strategically choosing candidates and supporting candidates based on their views and their positions on certain issues. And literally, if you don't want to give money to the candidate, but giving money to organizations that support the candidate. So when the candidate falls short, you pick up the phone, you call that organization and be like, listen, he's getting off that track, pull his coattail back on the other side. And I think that we need to start operating in groups in that way, where our money me making a donation may not go that far, but me being part of a bigger group that makes the donation is where the strength is. And that's how we can ultimately influence this person going forward and the policies that they support or not support. So I would like to leave with these three things. Number one, I agree with Sandra on us zeroing in on midterms, who we're going to support, how we're going to support. I agree with Christine on the possible Haitian American boycott, starting it with us and then now finding Venezuelan and Cuban allies and then ultimately turning it into an immigrant boycott. And Nicaraguan boycott against this specific giant, listen, we got to look at ourselves as David, and we're just gonna take down one Philistine. We're going down, right? So we're gonna just take one Philistine with us, and then that Philistine is gonna be like, yo, Trump, hey bro, ease off of them,
I mean,
because
yeah,
they're too tight on me right now.
from day one, man, dude.
And unfortunately, I think honestly that would be historic for us to do something like that, because that's the way the world works right now. It's about who got the money, and the person who got the money got the influence, and that's why all of these billionaires were at his inauguration, because they have a seat at his table. And then, so if we can find a way to financially impact one of them, then they can ultimately, not because they want to advocate for us, they're advocating for their pockets.
They were at the Easter egg hunt too.
So I think number two, I think that's really great. And there is a call with Haitian American Professional Association on the 11th. So I'm gonna invite you guys, send you guys the link. I think that's something that we can propose, that we literally identify every organization that wants to be a part of it, and we just group together, and then we start in Florida and start moving it around the country. I think that would be powerful. But in doing that, I like something that Sandra stated, that we have to learn how to fight in certain spaces. And right now, it's hurting them in their pockets. To make it worse on migrants. I never looked at it that my advocacy can make it worse for a migrant. But mind you, I'm the American, right? But I'm going to fight for them, but the way I'm fighting is not helping them.
Yeah.
I think that is so powerful that I really want to highlight that, coming from an attorney, for us to actually begin to train advocates on how to advocate, because you don't want to make it worse for them. And that's really bad. So we want to approach this possible boycott, not with, cursing and acting, unseemingly at times, right? But just taking our money, holding on to that money,
doing something.
All
right, Christy, you're gonna have the final word, and then we're gonna go on about our business tonight.
I think we're off to a good start. I think that, and we've been talking about all these things for a while, so it's just time to make it happen. I really just want to pray for the people that are suffering right now in these detention centers, because as I sit here in my home, we all sit in our homes, we are privileged. I never thought that I would actually feel the day where I say, oh man, I am privileged. Right now, I feel very privileged, and I feel a responsibility to bring more awareness to what's happening and to just keep fighting, because we are their only hope. So thank you again, Sandra, for always allowing us into this space. And just, I ask everyone that's watching to please pray, please stay tuned in. Don't shut out what's happening just so that you can keep pushing through your life, because it's affecting you. It needs to affect all of us so that we can have a better future for our children. Like, we can't just sit back and let this happen and just say, oh, I need to put my blinders on so I can focus. No, we're not supposed to focus. We're supposed to be a little disheveled right now, because we need to fight for the humanity and the soul of our country, and but in order to do that, we need to know what's happening. So stay informed and just keep everyone in your prayers, especially those at the Chrome Detention Center.
Yeah, keep praying. The battle is the Lord's. Yep, it's not yours, it's the Lord's, for real. All righty. Good night, ladies. Elections have consequences.